Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Project Egg. Today, we're going in the city, live, walking around. I'd like to introduce you to my good friend Lee. How you doing?
How you doing?
Great.
Pleasure to be in your city.
Oh man, I'm very honored that you would not only come to the city, but do an interview walking around the city of New Orleans. So Lee here is the CTO and co-founder of OUTCŞRT. Okay, Lee, what is your story? And let's talk about it as we walk.
Excellent. Okay, so this is going to be very interesting. It's first of all, it's my first time in New Orleans, and it's possibly the loudest day of the week with street performers all around us. I'm a CTO and co-founder of a technology education company called OUTCŞRT. To oversimplify it, we centralize the professional certifications of all the companies in all technology areas. And one day we hope to be, for technology education, what Facebook is for social media, and what LinkedIn is for your work and business life. So it's been an interesting journey 3 years into this. I'm in the process of doing a 3-month road trip, also outreach with community colleges across the United States, RSA Security Conference, Open Source Leadership Summit, SUSE Linux event, showing off the
Nice.
make sure that everyone can see swag, which is something that a lot of us geeks dig. Laptop stickers and stuff like that. You know,
awesome.
never grow up.
Why should we though, right?
Well, some of us have more hair than others. You know, eventually it catches up.
Dude, I'm losing it for sure. But so tell me a little bit about your childhood. What sort of family did you grow up in? Where were you raised?
Wow, it wasn't anywhere near sweet Louisiana. I was actually born in England, raised in Israel for the first pretty much 15 years of my life, and kind of zigzagging between Israel and England. Ended up dropping out of, kind of being kicked out of high school.
Mind if I ask why?
Yeah, there was religious education in London, and it wasn't my thing. I kind of gave myself some credits not to show up, and it didn't resonate well with some of the teachers. Even though I was a really good student, I was being kicked out. And because of my brother's awesome performance elsewhere, I ended up getting accepted to his school the very same day.
Wow.
It was maybe an anomaly, maybe it was a glitch in the matrix, but what happened is that they thought that he's this guy's brother, what can go wrong? They didn't get a chance to get to know me, so they accepted me straight away before looking at the reasons that I didn't do well. So that was interesting. I ended up going to Leeds University in England, following it's a blackout. Well, I was inspired by robotics at the time, and I ended up going to read mechatronics, but university life was amazing, big party time. Ended up getting, dropping out there, and dropping out overall 4 times from universities over time. But I am passionate about technology education, and that's my gig. It did not happen at university. It did resonate really well with certifications rather than degrees. And also being an employee, I found myself many times getting promoted again, and then getting fired. And this is what entrepreneurialism is about, that you get experience in someone else's gig until you no longer fit, and ultimately your true colors may show, and you end up setting up your own stuff.
That's amazing. Let's keep walking here. So what was your relationship like with your parents? Did they move with you in Israel? How did that dynamic work out?
I mean, I grew up in a kibbutz, which is a communal settlement.
My uncle did too.
All right, excellent. So this is kind of a different time, different place. It's a communal area, a communal settlement that a lot of startup founders in the Israeli ecosystem come out of the kibbutz. And what's interesting is that you grow up with no money because you don't need money.
Right.
You have access to all the resources that you need. Nothing costs money.
Right.
You have abundance.
Yeah.
And then when you move out to the big city and you start paying for groceries instead of having everything for free,
Right.
then you think, well, that doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
you end up becoming a capitalist, but a different sort of capitalist. So it's somewhere the switch from socialism to capitalism leaves you as a social capitalist.
Okay.
And having an abundant mentality. So when you drive through Texas and you think, oh my God, Texas is like 34 times bigger than Israel.
Yeah.
And when people say you can't come to the United States because it is nowhere, it's all full of people. Too many people in the US, too many people in the world. And you think, wow, it's like Israel is less than 3% as big as Texas. No one's going to notice if I create a little Israel here, or a little, a little city or another kibbutz, and do your own thing.
Right.
So it's inspirational.
That is inspirational. So it seems as if, and please forgive me if I'm overstepping my bounds, but it seems like you're not really that fond of talking about yourself and your relationships with your family members. Is that a sore subject?
Oh wow, yes it is, but I can talk about it.
Please, let's do it.
I can say that I had an amazing childhood. Life was really good. I'm very thankful for my parents for everything that they've done.
Yeah.
When it comes to learning from parents, I think that in some cases I have friends whose parents are very inspirational. I know that my own personal father was very good at what he did, being an artist, and also somewhat entrepreneurial with a lot of ideas. Just people have different styles, and sometimes you try to work with family members and you fail miserably. And people may say to you, "Told you so," and they did. Same thing with business. You're always going to end up recruiting people and saying goodbye, just like you have partners throughout your life and then things don't work out until eventually they do.
Right.
So I think that failure with relationships, failure with business, skirmishes with people that are close to you, business partners, family members, it's natural. There's I saw a movie recently, Bad Moms. And I'm a bad mom. It's okay.
So, what inspired your love for technology? Like, where did that come from? I mean, you mentioned robotics earlier, and it seems obviously, you're the CTO and co-founder of a technology-based company. Where did that come from? Where did that passion come from?
I actually stepped away from technology many years, several times over the years. So, unlike some of my friends who've been coding from the age of 9, I was coding without a computer on a piece of paper with Pascal back in the 80s. But I stepped away from this and I went back to this. At university we had Unix, big Sun Spark machines. I actually fell asleep on the first day of university. So there was good foundation to dropping out. But over the years, I think that it's like a Las Vegas buffet. Technology, there are so many different fields that people are not really aware of to begin with. And with certifications, it's very easy to go grab something at the foundation level, whether it's Linux, Python, ethical hacking, virtual reality, games development, so many different things that I recommend for people to go ahead and taste and try a little bit, rather than just go gung-ho all the way on one particular subject. And where you might find your niche, it might be a hybrid rather than one specific discipline.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and that is something that might give you the edge whether you're trying to go for a job, or also when you try to move forward and get into something that's new. So right now you can see that DevOps, it's really kind of sec DevOps. There's also more security in the DevOps. You can see that Amazon AWS came out recently with a security certification, which is fantastic, and they also have machine learning certification and big data. So,
which is insane to think, because those industries didn't even exist 20, 30 years ago.
Apps. I remember in 2010 in California purchasing my first Starbucks without money using the app.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And I was very excited telling my friends about this, and people say, hey, it's useless because the majority of people don't have smartphones. And it was like, hold my beer. It won't be long before it will be difficult to find something that's not a smartphone. This time is coming. So the apps have been around for the better part of a decade. And what's going to happen a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and more.
Yeah.
You need to have a little bit of vision, but everyone around you is already trying to tell you, wake up, diversify, make sure that you're learning different skills, make sure that you're learning programming, Linux, open source, but also make sure that you're stepping into core skills, soft skills, kind of layer 8 type of stuff, what we call problem solving, critical thinking. And I think that for you guys, millennials, people with hair on your head,
not for long,
to be able to engage in conversation rather than just look at the screens like my kids, and to make eye contact. These are skills that we think that we may need to use technology to solve the problems that technology created in the first place. So if someone can get addicted to Fortnite, they can also get addicted to such games that make it cool and necessary to move forward in the ranks, in the levels, when you have those skills, those social skills.
Right.
Yeah. Even if it means social engineering skills for hacking.
That's
whatever works.
Brilliant. So let's talk about your company a little bit more. How does your company create the value in that ecosystem, and then how do you capture it as well?
Well, the simple value proposition is that we're looking for professional certifications rather than a degree. A degree is like a monolith. It's a big stake.
Yeah.
Whereas the professional certification can be a nibble, it can be a bite, and you can get started and get certified.
Right.
You do the training, you take the exam. It's not ours. We don't do exams. We hook up with everyone else. We already have 100 collaborations. There are over 1,000 organizations that have certification programs.
Yeah.
Over 5,000 certifications in over 150, 200 different disciplines.
That's amazing.
Some disciplines can be wide, like cybersecurity, or narrow, like malware analysis and ethical hacking.
Yeah.
And it's important for us to show you that rather than just Googling the stuff, it's a lot easier to go to the certification hub, so to speak, and to start building a roadmap of what's of interest. So you can go ahead and tag organizations, certifications, technology areas, build a roadmap, and then go ahead and display the badges for all the stuff that you've done. And you may start at level 1 or in level half in some cases, and move up to expert level, whether it's a Cisco or Linux or whatever it is.
So it seems like it's almost like a build your own adventure with learning and getting certified and actually building skills that are going to help you succeed in the future with technology.
Absolutely, and this is something that is in collaboration with everyone else, because it's not a one-stop shop, it's a hub. We'd still say, hey, you want to do Linux from LPI or CompTIA, the best thing you can do is go to either a company like linuxacademy.com online, or we might redirect you to a local community college to sit in the classroom. It doesn't make a difference to us where you study and how you study. What's important for us is that you build your technology education roadmap like Lego. Yeah. Different colors, different sizes.
Adding a little bit.
Adding, and you build something sizable over time. It's not just about getting certified, getting a job, and you're done.
So it seems like, and I didn't understand this at first, but it seems like y'all are more of the conduit. Y'all are the catalyst for it. So it's almost like you're matching the student with the provider, the knowledge provider.
That's right. We want to make sure that it's the options are more accessible and manageable. Because if you search something on Google, they keep the information about you, but you don't have access to those tags. This is somewhere that you're able to build the roadmap yourself, change, amend the roadmap yourself, the stuff that you like, the stuff you decide you no longer like, and just get rid of it.
Wow.
But the roadmap is something that you end up owning, and also displaying the stuff that you've done, which in future you'll be able to do so much more with it.
So almost giving you a place to represent yourself and to show
off
That's
your badges
brilliant.
like you do on LinkedIn, but with a bit more spice, with a bit more finesse. And this is something that you'll be able to, in due course, press a button and have an output, your resume with the badges inside as well.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot in the pipeline. It's very two-dimensional at the moment. Business development, like this particular road trip, it's going to events. I'm going to be in a couple days, 3 days in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to the SUSE Linux conference, SUSECon. This is the annual event of the year, and this is another opportunity to engage with vendors, to meet community colleges, to meet influentials in technology. So it's a lot of outreach as well.
That's awesome. So we were talking about a little bit earlier with solving problems that technology has created with technology. For example, the social engineering, right? That is so interesting to me, because it seems like as we get more dependent on technology, we become less social in a way, right? It's almost like the more we engage with social media, the less we actually go out and have a face-to-face conversation with somebody. So where do you see the biggest opportunities for people? So let's say somebody is young and they want to set themselves apart and they want to take themselves to the next level. What sort of skills do you think are going to be the ones that they can use technology to learn to get ahead using your platform?
Right. Okay. So our platform is something that is dependent on collaboration with everybody else, all the different vendors and the associations. Ultimately, certifications, not all of them are amazing. Not all of them are amazing. But what we want to do as we capture the market is to influence the market together with our major strategic partners. And what this means is that in future you'll see different ways of training and also different ways of doing the exams. What does that mean? Instead of like the good old 80s, 90s really, sitting, learning from a book and then having multiple choice and cramming, passing the exam, maybe even using an exam dump, kind of cheating, and then never again touching or using the technology anymore once you have the piece of paper. And these were called paper certs. The real deal of the future is that every certification would hopefully be project-oriented, performance-based, have elements of gamification as well. I mentioned like Fortnite.
Almost like building your portfolio as you learn.
Yes. So imagine that you're able to learn Linux while holding a gun, running inside a bubble and shouting to your friends in Chinese, even though you don't speak Chinese. But be able to learn skills while playing a game. And this means that learning is not becoming a chore, but it's something that you get addicted to. And if you're able to get addicted to education, then the holy grail, and this is something that would be amazing to see within a few years, but imagine that you're a student and you're fresh and you're taking a path. And in this path, you're going to be learning. First of all, you assume a debt, which comes with a responsibility. And as you go along and are learning and are working in a project and are working with other people, you're actually producing output that is useful to the marketplace. So the marketplace is able to pay you while you're learning. And by the time you graduate, you're able to have zero debt. You're able to either have a job or clients as a freelancer. And you're certified, and that would be the holy grail, balancing both sides of the equilibrium. How to do this? Well, this is very simplistic, but I'll give you an example. Company called eLearn Security. It's been a while, but I think that with the mobile pen testing certification, you actually practice legally hacking 16 real apps. So by the time you graduate with that certification, you're able to say, hey, I have experience. It's not just a certification, but I have experience doing penetration testing and writing the report for it.
That's
for
amazing.
16 different apps. And
Dude,
you can do this with anything.
That's incredible. So I'm not sure how far out that is, but the idea of going and building skills and using the projects that you're learning from as revenue generation tools to pay for that education. So you're basically like learning for free and building a portfolio and getting clients. Like, that is the holy grail. That's amazing. How far out do you think that is? Because once we get there, it would almost seem like the ones who get into that early on are going to have an insanely unfair advantage on everybody else in the market.
I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I think that ideas are nice to have, but execution is the key.
Right.
In some cases, I can go ahead and tell people a whole bunch of secrets, knowing that no one's going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Execution is massive focus, and it comes at a price. It's to execute an idea like this or anything. It's time, it's money, it's sweat equity, it's family sacrifice, it's opportunity cost, leaving a job sometimes to do this on a full-time basis. And I think that holy grails like this, in our case, would largely depend on the strategic partnerships that we already have in place. I'm meeting next week with a good friend of mine, James Azar, who's the co-founder and CMO of Cyber Hub Summit in Atlanta. He actually interviewed me at RSA conference in San Francisco earlier this month, and we're going to be launching CISO, C-I-S-O, stands for Chief Information Security Officer. So CISO.tv, DevOps.tv, and Cyborg.tv. Those are going to be TV channels, online TV channels, focusing on those segments for security managers, for Cyborg staff, for DevOps staff, and we're going to be depending again on our partners to execute any idea, whether this or the whole. Listen to this and say, hey, this is a great idea, I'm going to go for it, and I say, hey, good luck. You know, we're never afraid of competition. Sometimes we don't have competition at all, and that's okay. And sometimes if we do have some sort of competition or something else, hey, that's great. At the end of the day, it's important to know that you have a lot of tricks up your sleeves, and that you're confident that you're going to be working very hard to execute something, because ideas, you know, many times you have an amazing idea, someone already thought about it, someone already failed at it several times, and it's your time to shine. If someone else can hear this and decide that they want to go and do something, whether they compete with us or they don't, and they get any ideas, and, you know, fair game and good luck. You know.
So it seems like this holy grail is a ways away, right? I mean, is that kind of what I'm hearing?
It's one of the many things in the pipeline. You know, you can see that if you can dig this the shirt I'm wearing here.
Let's get a quick zoom in on that.
Okay, so this is lithium, nitrogen, uranium, and xenon. For those who understand the periodical table in chemistry. And this kind of spells or misspells and dispels Linux. Linux is an operating system. It's the gateway to everything that is open source, largely of the open source communities. And a couple of years ago, we, in addition to having OUTCÞRT now for three odd years, we launched Linux communities. And Linux communities is the amalgamation of about 100 different groups on Facebook, like USA Linux community, Singapore, Philippines, India Linux community. So it's kind of geo-based Linux communities. And this is another way for us to go ahead and bring Linux and open source to geographical communities, and also allow other existing groups to work within this. So just the fact that everyone has already done, you know, some people may have already done something before you, does not mean that you cannot go ahead, create large groups, able to engage through those groups, able to have some marketing campaigns for deals that you have, and push it at no cost to you through those groups. So someone looking for exam vouchers, for example, for codes on different vendors, many times are likely to end up using our codes as well. That's another a way for us to monetize. We have several different ways that we monetize the company. We didn't yet take any investment.
Wow.
We've been monetizing for 2 years. And it's something that I don't know. In your experience, did you talk mostly to people that raise money, or any bootstraps as well?
There's a lot of different buckets. I'd say probably the smallest bucket are people who went and did a seed round or raised money from other people. Most of them actually did do it on their own and bootstrapped it.
Interesting. To what level?
I mean, the most successful guest that I've had on the show as of today owns a company worth about $100 million.
Bootstrap all the way?
I believe so. I could be wrong once he got up and running, but I believe he did bootstrap from the beginning.
Right. Excellent. So this is something very interesting because nowadays you can fire up a server on AWS or Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, anything. With a credit card, you can easily start up a company once you have something already going on. And you can be up and running for very little money.
Right.
The key is also finding the right people to work with you.
Exactly.
Even if you are the dominant force in the company, you still need to have other people there, even if it's for your psychological benefit.
Exactly.
To know that you're not the dumb guy on stage.
Yep. You can't do it alone.
You might be able to, but it's good if you're able to fool yourself to think that you're not alone, that there are some people with you. So either you have multiple personalities or whatever it is, but it's very important to have a dream team and to know that just like marriage, it's not necessarily going to be perfect. But you're still able to have that, to be able to 3 years look back and say, hey, we're doing something right.
That's
we're going to screw up, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to pivot, we're going to have new ideas, we're going to ups and downs, like everything else.
That's incredible. So let's talk about the future, because we've talked about it a little bit, but I kind of want to ask outright, what do you see as some of the biggest opportunities in technology moving forward? Like, maybe... No, I'll leave it at that. What do you see as some of the biggest opportunities?
Wow. Okay. If I were able to duplicate myself into a whole bunch of different instances, I think that out of, 150, 200 different technology areas, if we narrow it down because there's a bit of overlap, let's say from 100 different technology areas, I could easily pick 20, 30 that I would have liked to have hands-on focus. It can be anything. It can be AI, it can be machine learning, it can be virtual reality, games development. It could be combinations of these, and I would jump 100% into any of them and start swimming and knowing that I made the right decision and everything is fine.
Right.
And I remember that I learned mechatronics and robotics when you're a toddler. This is we're talking about Terminator 2 that inspired me to study robotics. We're actually the second year of robotics and mechatronics at Leeds University in England, 93. And anything that you go for with technologies, there's so many different trending technologies, but there's so much of it that you're able to just go ahead, pick something that you're passionate about. Try also to have several different disciplines, whether have programming together with big data, together with AI, together with your own flavor. You may be an artist. If you're an artist, get into Unity 3D, games development. You can get certified with storytelling and animation. Okay, and have your own flavor. So just follow your passion, and I'm sure that someone is going to recognize you somewhere, and whether give you an awesome job or if you create your own gig,
invest in or something.
Investment is a different gig. I think that I am an entrepreneur, but I'm also a lousy investor. I may put my money on something, and then when it goes down, think, no, it's going to be okay. I'm optimistic they're going to recover, and they're not gonna. And I'm not inside that company, and they're not going to make it. And it's someone else's gig. There's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
If it were me, if it were my business as the entrepreneur, I'd find a way that makes sense to me, even if other people can't see this. But I'm inside. As an investor, I'm too optimistic to be a good investor.
So, are you more of the visionary who you want to see the future, create the future, and move around the resources, or are you more like in the trenches, doing the dirty work day to day type of guy?
What's the difference?
I'm not sure.
So both A and B. It's knowing as a visionary also when to step out and recognize that you're assembling a team of other competent people. If you fail to find the competent people that you need, keep looking. And you'll find them. So this is ultimately your leverage to make sure that you're not a one-man band all the way.
Right.
And it's important to have other people that are able to take some of the work from you. So definitely I'm the visionary, but getting the hands dirty, you deal with so many different systems. It's not just about putting a website up that people see and have an opinion about what you do. What people can't see is all the stuff, all the roadmap, all the features that you're working on to launch, and they can see your technique sometimes, but they can't see your strategy. And so visionary is important, but it's also important to have the hands-on. To get your hands dirty, to understand the technologies. Just for example, there you go, visionary. I think that a year ago, maybe a couple of years ago, Amazon, a friend of mine who works at AWS said that they, I don't know how correct those figures are, but they said that they were, they're releasing, how many versions a year were Amazon releasing on the platform? The whole year. And the number is staggering. If I ask someone who's not technical at all that question and say, what do you think, maybe twice a year, 10 times, 100 times, whatever figure they give me is not going to be close to what it is. The answer was in the region of 50 million times.
Oh my goodness.
And so how do you do that? And this is through DevOps. This is through continuous delivery, continuous integration, that you're able to work in a different way to the old monolith. You don't need to have all the components in place before you release a version. It's broken down into small components. And to oversimplify what virtualization is today, virtualization, which is relevant for us in business, because that's why you and I don't need to go buy hardware when we have a website. Just to those who are, not to those who maybe are very young and don't remember those days, hardware used to cost thousands, many thousands of dollars. And you needed many times to have an IT person who's dealing with the hardware. God help you if something went wrong, massive expenditure. But what happened is that there was a leap from physical to the virtual machine, and from the virtual machine onto what's called containers, and from containers now into serverless.
Like the cloud.
Specifically, even all the virtual machines that are in the cloud, there are further leaps into containers, and another jump into serverless and Lambda. And what this means is that you're able to collapse the cloud into code, and to launch clouds, virtual clouds, additional clouds from several lines of code. And I've seen something phenomenal called StoryScript recently at the Open Source Leadership Summit that pretty much collapses 3 days of a person's work into several minutes. So yes, you need to learn a bit of, I don't know if did you see the movie Karate Kid? With Ralph Macchio?
I need to.
It's 1986 movie, highly recommended to those who know what is wax on, wax off.
I know what you're talking about,
Yes, so
where he catches the fly or
Daniel's son, absolutely. So wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
And the difference is, if you truly understand technology, you're able to have a competitive edge
Right.
that someone who's not technical doesn't understand.
Right.
And how can your business be competitive if you don't understand technology?
That's true.
So I think that yes, it's absolutely imperative that technical people understand business, and you'd expect the chief information security officer of a company to have an MBA, to have understanding of business. It's critical. That said, it's highly imperative that the receptionist and the CEO understand security principles. Otherwise, they're using a computer without realizing the risks that pose in the organization.
Yep.
And also to understand that underneath every API, every application programmable interface that link processes between different systems,
Yeah.
there's a business relationship. And likewise, underneath every business relationship, there's an API going on. So it's very important that people understand technology and understand business, whether they're a technical person or a business person. Definitely, if they're both, in my case.
That's brilliant. So let's talk about connection, right? And I'm really interested to hear your take on this, because one of the bedrocks of this show is connection, right? Connection between you and I as friends, as guests and hosts, and then us and the audience members with each other. So I'm fascinated by connection, right? And I want to know, what is your philosophy on developing meaningful, deep, and genuine human connection?
This is where I talk about food. I mean, we have music here. We have nice wind right now. It's not hot like it was earlier today. And we're here. We're not having a Skype conversation. We're inside a certain environment right now, meeting for the first time, me on my road trip. This is your turf. Now, when I was exhibiting a few months ago at Cybertech in Tel Aviv, which is beautiful, it's like a 3-day event, 15,000 people from all over the world.
Yeah.
We have such a vibrant startup ecosystem in Israel, and cybersecurity, it's phenomenal. So many of my friends and people that I know set up their own companies.
Yeah.
You know, some of them already sold on. I had investment bankers come to me and talk to me about investing and putting people in the company and doing stuff. And for me, it was like, well, we're not really ready for this.
Right.
I mean, we're a B2C platform, and for us, we're already monetizing, so we can grow without the investment.
Right. Why
until we're investment ready. We're not ready yet.
Yeah.
What's important for me when I meet people like that is the connection.
Yeah.
So we might be ready, but you need the foreplay right now.
Yeah.
You want to invest in 6 months, in a year. It's not just about us running after you. It's also about you meeting for a cup of coffee.
Right.
It's about us. We say, you know, we talk about food. We have a beautiful North African dish called shakshuka. And shakshuka is like eggs that you put inside this red sauce with lots of tomatoes and some tomatoes and red peppers, and you can also have your own distro, your own flavors around this. But that breakfast dish is something that you sit down and you chill and you enjoy the moment and you drink coffee and you build relationships.
Right.
And that makes it so much easier to relate to people when you chill, when you're not wearing a suit. And then when you do work with them in a work environment, you can work from the coffee place. You don't have to be stuck in the office all the time.
Right.
So it's very important to bring down the silos, to remember that 100 years from now, your business might still be around.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not.
Hopefully.
But who cares?
Yeah.
Because you know you might not be here.
Right.
And that's the important thing to remember, that business aside, what is everything about anyway?
Right.
And it's about those connections. It's about your family. It's how you're with your kids, with your parents, with the community, with the country. Stuff that you do to give back as well.
Yeah.
And when you need help, to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I need help. And it doesn't matter if you're 20, if you're 40, or if you're 60. Sometimes, am I allowed to say the S word here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to say it. I've been using it too much. So sometimes when that happens, you need to raise your hand and say, hey, I took a bullet and need help. And it's not easy at any time. You know, we have the ego is a very important positive force, and it's also a very negative force sometimes when we misuse it. So learning how to offer help for those who haven't learned to do that, and learning when you need to shout and ask for help as well.
It's so interesting to me how even being so deeply entrenched in the technology community, and your company's based around technology, there's still that element of human connection, right? I mean, Linux communities.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're essentially connecting people with the resources that they need to develop in the technology field, right? That is so interesting to me.
Yeah. We call this layer 8 because the OSI model, model is a 7-layer structure to explain how computer networking works.
Yeah.
From the application level all the way down to the physical level, and then to the physical level all the way back to the application level.
Wow.
And above that level, above that layer 8, what we call layer 7, sorry, layer 8, which is not formal. It's anything to do with people, with politics, with BS, also with social engineering that we mentioned, because you know ethical hackers or not so ethical ones as well, to fool people, to get information, to have them read the last 16 digit numbers of this last 16 digits of their credit card. That's layer 8. It's not technical. But the layer 8 is what gives meaning to all the other 7 layers underneath it. How cool is hacking if nobody's looking?
Right.
How cool is hacking if there's no human emotion of, hey, great, I managed to do something. I accomplished, even if no one knows, I know about it. And I have that feeling. So layers 1 to 7 are technology and are absolutely meaningless without the human emotion underneath or over it.
That's amazing. And you know, talking about connection, and it's funny you mentioned you know, that dish and about
shakshuka. Yes, shakshuka, just look it up.
Okay.
Wikipedia, Google, learn how to make it. It's going to be your favorite breakfast dish.
Yeah,
those who love meat or aubergines or eggplants or you know, different flavors, you can go crazy and have your own distro.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
So it's interesting to me how those are the things that you would talk about and that really stick out to you. And to me, it seems like what we're doing right now is one of those things. You know, I don't know about you, but I really don't think I will ever forget this moment. Like, I really don't think that having this conversation, walking around this park in this exact time, talking about the things that we're doing as much as we can to give as much value to people, to me, that's an amazing, I don't know, I feel very connected to the mission that we're on right now to help other people. So I wanted to thank you very much for being a part of it.
Thank you.
It's truly been an honor to meet you and to speak with you. I have a few more questions for you, and then I want to wrap up pretty soon. My arm's getting a little tired, and you know. But anyways, what is your greatest theory?
Wow. About what?
Whatever came to your mind first.
It's a really good question. What's the next one?
Why is that your theory?
I think that okay, let's do something with it. Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it's imperative to have a direction and to have value. And what's my theory is that it's all about meaning. There's a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Absolutely, I actually heard about it first from Tony Robbins, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And if there's no meaning to what theory we're talking about, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I think that my own zeitgeist, my own outlook, it's to have that meaning.
Yeah.
So Man's Search for Meaning, yeah, searching for meaning, assigning meaning to stuff, what's meaningful to you, what isn't. We can't put all the energy into something and totally neglect something that has meaning. So what the theory is, it's all about meaning. Whatever it means to you, that's what the value is.
That's huge. So again, I want to thank you for coming on the show today, coming on the interview. Is there anything about yourself that you think is an important part of who you are that we didn't get to talk about today? Like, in other words, what did I miss?
That is a really good question. I think that I'm personally totally unimportant to you guys and to you. I'm just another freaking human like everyone else. I might be super important to me, to my family, to some of my friends.
Yeah,
I hope so. But it doesn't really matter. It's about what each and every person takes for themselves, what they do with their life.
Yeah,
there's so much opportunity, and just deal with the crap that we sometimes are faced, because everyone has some, and move on. If you're going to, Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Yeah, keep going. So keep going. If you can't do it on your own, get help. Get someone to help you, and remember that your failures are what's going to give empathy and allow other people to relate to you when you're up and they're down, and you can truly say to them, listen, I know how you feel, I felt the same way, I've been through that, let me help you out. Put your ego aside.
That's huge.
And accept help, and one day in turn you'll be able to truly help someone else in need.
So I'm 24, right?
I'm 44.
I have a few businesses, but this show is my greatest passion. What question, and knowing that, what question should I be asking you that I'm just not thinking about, that I wouldn't think to ask?
You're always going to miss stuff. This is like Seinfeld with George Costanza, with the comeback, the stuff that he wanted to say but didn't say. The ocean rang, they're running out of jerks or whatever that was, and the stuff that he didn't say and should have said but he didn't. We are always going to miss something, and that's why we always, my next startup company, one's going to be an emergency response platform. Some ideas that I had since 2006, and the one after that, it's our time travel startup, and we already have a slogan for the time travel startup. It's never too late to make a first impression.
I like that.
So this is BS. I don't have that time travel thing lined up, but the bottom
slogan there.
But the bottom line here is that it's never too late to make a first impression. You can screw up, people can think lowly of you, but you have another chance to shine. And if you forget to ask someone a question, you can always have another conversation later on and catch up and ask. You're always going to miss something out, and it's okay.
Well, Lee, I want to thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate your time.
Likewise.
You're the freaking man. So thank you again. Thank you to everybody who's watching. I want to thank y'all so much. Y'all are the reason that I do this. Whether you're watching, whether you're listening, whatever it may be, I love you guys. Thank you so much. We're coming to you from Jackson Square in New Orleans. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next episode.